In the 70s, look where we were at in the 70s. Grunge. Everybody wore black and all the girls wore white skin. Yeah? The guys had black makeup around their eyes. The difficulty is that we have the biggest problem in the group between incarnation of 70s to the 80s. We got a problem. Those people are willing to destroy the world. They're willing to destroy the world. People today, if you really study it, you'll see that the group who incarnated from 1970 to 1980, within a 20-year period, they all want to commit suicide. Look into it. They're the highest group in the world that has reached a position in their own consciousness where they feel they have absolutely nothing to live for. Nothing. Yeah, they'll put on all the tattoos, they'll watch all the glamour TikTok, and they'll do all the Twitter bullshit, and then they'll shoot themselves. That's really common, people. Look into it. I'm not kidding. This is our people. Masses of people. And where do they come from? Where do they come from? If they were born in the 70s, well, you just got to go back just 70 to 80 years. That's when they were born last time in that life. Yeah? So go back 70 or 80 years. They were born in the 1900s or 1890s. Yeah? And what went on during that time? You know, First World War, Second World War. Bam, bada bam. Yeah. Prior to that, what went on during that time? The Civil War. Human rights. Devastating scenarios of earth changes. All kinds of stuff was horrible, horrible, horrible. Yeah. And we lived through, the Dust Bowl. We lived through, oh my God, all the stock market has fallen. Oh my God, Look at here, no one has any money. And the earth is failing us completely. That's the consciousness of these people. They've come back. And those who made it through that process, and those are usually people in their 50s and 60s, and then they die, and they reincarnate in the 30s. So we got a blend of people. The older ones from that cycle and the younger ones from that cycle. And they go through hell. Literally, go through hell. They make it through that, they go through the First World War, the Second World War, the Korean War, the war with Japan, the nuclear war, the Cold War. And that's just to 1960. 1960. Yeah? These are millions and millions of people who lose their lives and go into PTSD, and not one person on this planet understands it. Shell shock. Yeah, that's its name. Shell shock. What? Yeah, it scares me every time I hear a gun or a slamming door, or I'm just freaking out because I heard it so much and I'd seen so much and I did and it just comes down to it's shell shock. Millions and millions from one war after another. Your grandfather, your father, your brother, your uncle, all of them for generation after generation, went through that. And in that process, there were people on the other side of the world who were serving Hitler and Mussolini and the 5 main dictators that lasted until the 60s. Most of the people that were in the German process didn't get caught. The Catholics let them go. They put them through Argentina, they put them to Portugal, they put them to Spain. They left them in Italy. They made them priests. Made them priests, people, made them priests. Senior people in the SS, senior people that worked for Hitler were allowed to be free. Same thing with Mussolini, who actually made the process for there to be a pope, for there to be a place that they call the holy place, you know, the place. And that was, Mussolini did that. Mussolini passed the law, Mussolini made it that way. Yeah. So all this shit is left over from extreme evil. Extreme evil. And all those people were sacrificed. Jews were sacrificed. Yeah? People of different race and different color and different relationships of mind and culture were sacrificed. Yeah? Used as slaves or put into enslavement camps. Yeah? And these are the people who are here now. People who were born in the 70s. People who were born in the 80s. There's no place for them to go. They come from that experience. They come from being in a Holocaust or being a person who did the Holocaust. Being the person who did it. Yeah? Yeah, being the person who dropped Nagasaki. Being the all the people who got hit at Nagasaki. Yeah? All of that comes around. It affects us. Psychologically, it affects you. PTSD, if you don't clear it before you die, you usually die by committing suicide or drinking. So then you die. Well, guess what? You reincarnate. That's terrible. You bring that shit back? In the 70s? Look where we were at in the 70s. Grunge. Grunge. Everybody wore black and all the girls wore white skin. Yeah, the guys had black makeup around their eyes. You know, that was normal shit. 70s and 80s. Yeah. Thank God for Europe. That's where it originated. Because they were the ones who did it. You know, all the wars were started there. All the kings and queens. The history comes back around. Now we're all paying for the lifestyle of Europe. We're all paying for that. Imagine you go out, you're Denmark or you're some country, you know, like England, you know, and you go out and you take over these countries. Well, guess how many people were enslaved and killed and murdered and destroyed and taken off their land and thrown into another place and forgotten all about. Horrible thing, horrible thing. Yeah? And those are our past lives. We don't get through those past lives. We die. Yeah? And then we come back. Yeah? And then everybody's kind of really confused, like, how come there's such a large number of young youth who have tattoos over all their body, who claim to be the opposite sex of who they are? And they build 3 or 4 different levels and kinds of sex, as though gender is now a genetic scenario. And I was born this way. I was born this way. Yeah? Yeah. They're claiming that that's it, that they understand genetic reality, and genetic reality is where their head's at, and the decision that they make is ruling over the genetic reality. Yeah. So this creates, you know, this is all coming from PTSD. It's coming from people that are so wiped down in life. And they come back and they, you know, what's there to live for? You know, you're born in the 70s, you come back, you grow up and you get in the 80s and everybody wants to jump on top of each other when they're dancing. You know, punching each other when they're dancing. I mean, whatever happened to rock and roll and stuff? And just sitting around, having fun, talking, you know. Instead, you know, there'd be this grunge, you know, and there'd be this rave, and there'd be all these different things that had to do with extreme emotions and hostility and aggression. Had nothing to do with music, yeah. And in the middle of that, there was perversion. Men dressing up as girls, you know, going into clubs, you know, singing with music that wasn't music. It was all electrically created with terrible sounds to it. Terrible sounds. But You're mingling with some extremely impure beings that from your previous life, they put you in a chamber and killed you and tortured you. And now they're dancing around as a girl and they're a guy because they're so perverted. They're so disturbed. And they're wanting to be in charge of this world, their life, whatever life they're in. And most of these people, they all come from previous lives, every single one. Imagine you're a general and you're working with Hitler. Where are you going to go in 1970s? How many places you got to dictate? How many Hitlers you got to follow along with? No, you're going to go into the movie industry. Yeah? You're going to go into the music industry. You're going to go into an industry that allows you to be the pervert for sex magic and money magic and hostility and aggression, and just completely act as though you're an artist. But in reality, you're just painting hostility and aggression and death. Look at our music. Look at the industry of movies. Yeah? This is all that generation come back. The generation before that, it was like, pretty neat shit. Elvis Presley, Bob Hope, Bing Crosby. They reincarnated from another life where there wasn't war. It was a different period of time. Yeah. And that cycle, when people come back, some have gone through horrible scenarios in previous lives. Others have done their best to be good friends to other people. Yeah. And everybody dies, people. Yeah. The difficulty is that we have the biggest problem in the group between incarnation of 70s through the 80s. We got a problem. Those people are willing to destroy the world. They're willing to destroy the world. Fully and completely. I mean bombs, guns, ammo, just in their mind they're thinking, yeah, we're gonna do this. Civil war, we're gonna, I'm against this. And all hate starts bleeding in to collective groups like the KKK and others, which gets built up into a national religion or something like that, like Green and others that are pushing this national Christian movement. When in reality, that's the KKK. Go back in time, the national Christian movement is the KKK. There's not another movement. That's its name. That's the name of the KKK. But you've been overshadowed by ignorance to not think for yourself. We are in a reincarnated state. And we have a heck of a situation that we need to face. And that's the reincarnation of people from the cycle of wars that are back in their bodies, and we're not looking at it. We're not considering it. It's everything that has to do with the psychological influence of America. And it's what's causing us to think that we should defund the FBI. Yeah? We should wear guns and everything and go in front of the FBI office and just stand there as though that's a smart thing to do. Yeah? We should do all kinds of aggressive things. Yeah? Go out there in the polling. Carry your guns. Stand there with a sign saying Trump with a flag. Trump with big muscles. Yeah? Yeah, total delusion. Because these are all warlords. People from war. People from war. What are you going to do with yourself? When you reincarnate and you come from war. And your father was in the war, you were in the war, you could have been the closest friend to Hitler, you could have been a top SS agent. What's the chances? The chances are extremely high. If you're not on one side, you're on the other. You're killing them Nazis, killing them Japs, killing them gooks. Yeah? That's got to really get to you. Yeah. 20 years later, you're going to fall in love with one of them. And that's going to just rip you crazy. Now, what am I doing? What am I thinking? This is insane. And you got to work the karma out. Slowly but surely, we have to work it out. We have to become friends. We have to become brothers and sisters. We have to do this thing in the way that we're meant to. We're going to save those kids. We're going to save all those people. Right now they're in vans, they're homeless, they're on the street, they're in cars, and they're telling everybody they're happy. They're not happy. Yeah. But that's where they're at. That's what they can figure out. They need therapy. And that was the best way to get it. Get back in nature, find yourself, get close to friends. You know, only good friends. Hang out with them. Enjoy yourself. Get healthier. Yeah, and that's what these guys did. Yeah, so that's been going on now for about 8-9 years. You know, this van community, the community of people getting out of their homes because the homes are going up in price and the jobs that you're making, the money that you're making is low. And these are the people that were born in the 70s and the 80s. They're the workforce. You know, they quit. They quit when this virus hit. You know, they just said, "Thank God." You know, I don't want to be a waiter. I don't want to be a waitress. I hate my life. Look at all my tattoos. You think I love my life? I got them all up my arm. I can only put it on one arm because I don't know what. You know. Everybody else only does one arm, so that's what I'm doing. You know? Oh no, I know someone that did it on both arms. I'm doing that. Maybe I'll start a craze. You know, it is crazy the amount of wasted time and energy that we're influenced by because of past life.